So my biggest thing right now is I'm trying to figure out exactly what seat I'm going to run, because nothing here looks good to me. Nothing is giving me what I want. And like I said, I kind of wanted to do like a body, or at least like shroud off the seat. So I may have just, as I was out here staring at things, come up with an idea, but I'm not so sure yet. But my options are kind of three. Either make something entirely out of scratch, out of metal, and then put padding and foam and kind of just make a seat out of nothing. More or less make the rear body and make it where I sit. Or use the seat I had on there, which is nothing more than the crappy original lawnmower seat. Very heavy steel. It's actually kind of heavy. I mean, it's not that heavy, but compared to this, now if we're talking about let's just lighten it up and go as fast as possible, this, you know, it's not that much lighter. Hang on, the UPS truck's coming. Looks like I got a package, actually. What's up, my friend? All right, so it looks like we just got a package, and I don't even remember what it is. What the heck did I order? Oh, I know what that is. And oh yeah, that's the brakes. That's the stuff for the brakes. So anyway, this is, let's see, 300 pounds. Wow. Only 2 pounds. Like, interestingly, they're not that much different in weight. I don't know, it's hard to say. But, you know, let's get this out of my way. You know, that just doesn't do it for me. And, of course, if I had a body shrouding it off, that'd be a whole different story. But it's also just, it just seems like it's too wide. It just doesn't look right to me. And it's just this really crappy looking thing. It's just one ugly piece of whatever, you know. It just does not look good. Now this doesn't necessarily, this kind of looks cool. Like it's from my original go-kart. Only problem is it doesn't fit the vibe of the vehicle. Now I will say this. All right, so strictly speaking on appearance, let's see if I can just get that to stay there for a second. Strictly speaking on appearance, I'm not a big fan of that because it doesn't fit what I'm trying to do, which I'm trying to make this thing look old, not like some sort of racing go-kart, you know? However, I sat in this with it right there, a little bit tilted more, and I really like the way it feels, because the other seat, even if I was going to use that, that back is so low that it rides right into the middle of my back and actually kind of hurts. It didn't really hurt before because the seat position was higher, so you were sitting more upright. Now that the seat's down low, there's this more of a rake on your back, which is why this seat actually is almost perfect for that position. Only the other problem with the way it looks, it's all like warped out of shape. I don't know if it's, I kind of remember it always being like that. I think it was just made out of shape, or maybe it's just so old and sat in the sun or something. I don't know if fiberglass can warp. But this is a fiberglass go-kart seat. And like I said, this is, I've owned, so I had my first go-kart, I think I was maybe 10 years old when I got my first go-kart, 10 or 12, and that was on it. That's the original go-kart seat that I've had since I was like 10 years old. The go-kart's gone. The frame is actually, I gave the frame to a coworker of mine a couple years ago so he could build it for his kid. But more or less, I might end up going this route. It doesn't look right, but I have a couple ideas as to how I can make it look right by kind of hiding the back half of it in a way. It's also like it fits me in a way that it would be an actual performance upgrade. You know, you'd be able to hold you in there. But this part I feel like is unnecessarily wide. But I don't know. Hello, pipsqueaks. Here we go. Let me see what we got going on today, don't you know? So I mocked up. I basically started mounting the seat with those are actually the original brackets from that go-kart frame way over there. that go-kart frame I had never had a seat on it, or no, actually it never had like a weird shitty seat on it. These brackets are actually off my original go-kart frame that I don't have anymore. But the parting out of other things continues, because I need a shifter. Now, I don't have the seat. Right now, the seat's not mounted at all. I had it mocked up and I had it bolted in there, but I didn't make any front mounts yet. But I got to make a shifter. Well, here's the thing. So we've gone ahead and we've stretched the frame now. That's 6.5 inches more added to the wheelbase by stretching the frame. So now, of course, the transaxle is back further, and this is just a representation because this is the brake lever, and the brake lever used to be more like, you know, in front of the seat. Now it's behind. So basically we'll address that. I have I have something else cool coming to deal with the brakes. I have it, but I haven't messed with it yet. So anyway, we need to get the shifter kind of back where it normally would be, or normally was, and maybe even better than it was. There used to be, I have it all apart, but basically this used to kind of go through the frame. So this used to all right, so before I cut the frame section down, so basically if we look, the frame used to stop right there. There was just a cap on the back bolted to the end. Then there was the frame itself was only sheet metal, and it extended up very high. Actually, originally I had already cut it down a bit shorter. So now I've gone and I've cut the rest of it off, and obviously I extended the frame. But the shifter, the upper part of the frame that's gone, the shifter used to actually mount through it. The frame used to sit, you know, up, and there was, oh, here you go. Basically those, you know, were cut off, and that hole there's one on either side. This guy here kind of rode in there, and there's a linkage that would go, now that's on backwards right now. That would normally be pointing over this way. And there's a little link that goes between there, and that gives you your gears as you shift. So I was messing around, or I was looking at and staring at this for a while last night. So this is, you can see that would have rode inside that thing, kind of like a bush, and this is all just junk now. I mean, I'm going to use the shift lever, but this was a couple things done here. So normally these are the shifter's able to spring this way, and it's held in the fender. So with no fender, it would just spring all the way away. So originally I had welded, where is it? Yeah, see, it's welded right there so that it won't spring out anymore. And I think at some point that might have broke. Yeah, I think that broke or something. That's why I ended up welding that. I can't remember. There's a whole bunch of, basically this is like this heavy, very heavy, like pointlessly, there's no reason to have all that crap on there. So I'm probably just gonna get the shift lever itself and reuse it. But the biggest thing is, how am I going to actually make it operate? So one option I was thinking of was just basically welding something directly to this and having it go out that way and then up. Now that might work. I don't know what kind of feel it, you know, like kind of actual like feel and action it would have, but the only thing that I don't know about, or I'm kind of worried that if I did that, the shift lever would have sort of a round pattern to it, which I don't want. I liked how it just was normal like this, forward and back. So I still want to retain, if I can, I want to basically try to do something just like it was, a pivoting bar going across with a linkage. Now the reason why I have that mounted backwards is I was considering trying to get that set up to have a reverse pattern. So before you would be shifting, basically think neutral, you'd pull back one for reverse or one forward for first, second, third, fourth. It would be forward. So I want to see if I can do a reverse pattern where, you know, it's first, second, third, fourth, and then, you know, back that way. So I, again, am over on the go-kart. This is not my original go-kart that I've referred to in other videos. This is just some other crappy thing that I got many, many years ago and never did anything with. But look at this. The steering shaft, nice and long. It goes through a bushing here, and there's a retaining collar, and it goes through a bushing there. So basically what I'm hoping to do is unbolt those bushings, the whole setup, that whole steering shaft, take that off obviously, and then that might be my pivoting section. Rather than try to weld crap back onto the frame and use that original pivot thing, that's what I think I'm going to try to do here, is just use that. So I'm going to start taking that apart and let's see where that takes us. So one funny thing is, I'm looking at this whole setup and I'm going, you know, forget about this part, but like just the steering shaft alone, how it's mounted and everything. And I'm like, man, I could have easily just taken this, cut this here, cut that there, and had a really solid, nice steering setup on the tractor over there for free. But, or another thing is, I'm like, okay, I could take that and I could repurpose it and build another machine off of it, because I don't want to build it. I don't want a go-kart. I'm not interested in having a little go-kart. I'm interested in taking this frame and this rear section with the straight axle and making something with it. But for the most part, go-kart steering, super low ride height, and all that kind of stuff doesn't do anything for me. So right now, again, I'm just going to end up repurposing this, I think, if I can, for the shifter. So, you know, we can always get some other stuff down the road to do another machine steering. Right now, we have to make that thing drive again. So, part it out it is. Awesome. Check it out. Now, unfortunately, these are aluminum, these blocks. So otherwise I would just weld right to the frame, and then there you go. And then we just put a shifter off of there and we'd be beautiful. And I would just stick, in that case, and I actually, it looks like I probably might just go with the original pattern, because that's already like pretty much lined up. But I'm thinking, since these are aluminum, I might just take the little tabs right off of that machine and cut it right off of there and be my mounts. But yeah, just gonna stare at this for a minute and see if I can figure anything out. Oh yeah, so if I just, this would be really easy. If I just flip that back to where it's supposed to be, get the tabs off the go-kart, weld them to the frame, then we have a shifter. And basically just get the linkage lengthened, and we have a shifter. But I just really, I want to, I don't know, I kind of want to try this reverse pattern thing. So I'm kind of thinking I'm just going to leave that tab on there. And I might just take and cut this original, this is the original piece that would have been on the shifter linkage. Of course, it's much longer because it was much higher up like this. But I'm thinking about taking it and chopping it, put a nice little round spot in it so that it can engage real good and weld it. Or, I mean, wait, what am I thinking of? Oh yeah, I'll just drill a hole in it. Well, it already has a hole in it, but it's obviously welded to that. But we'll just chop it lower, we'll drill a hole in it, stick it on here, weld it, get our linkage. Now, the only thing that does stink about that is, if I have that set up like that, then whenever the belt has to come on and off, the linkage will have to be removed, but that's not a big deal. And actually, it's easiest to just disconnect it right here, so that won't be too big of a deal. It's not ideal, it's not a big deal, but it's not ideal. So, you know, it's kind of one of those sacrifices that I kind of want to make, because having it in a reverse pattern, like none of these lawn tractors have a reverse pattern like that. They're all forward for forward, and pull back to reverse, or back to downshift. So, yeah, you know, it would be cooler if it was, even though it doesn't sound like that, but you know what I mean. Yeah, I don't know. It's really tough for me to make this decision, because I love things to just kind of line up and not have to do the amount of work that I like minimal amount of work. That is incredible right there. That would literally just work, I think, with the correct linkage. Like, that would just, there's your gears, you still got your same pattern. But I don't want it to just be the same. I want it to be different. I want to have that reverse pattern on the shifter. So I'm going to try to mess with that. This is now sacrificial. I don't even care about it. That's the new piece. So we can chop that off, and I mean, worst comes to worst. I'll put it this way. Worst comes to worst, if it doesn't work, I can just cut that off, and then we have that. So that's the beauty of it. It's kind of like a no-lose situation. So let's try it. Okay, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm not good at filming things that I actually do, so we'll just kind of go over what I'm doing right now. So this is the original shifter shaft that went through the thing there and had the, I think it's more like that, had the pivot. So I cut that pivot off there. Or I cut this link bar, whatever you want to call it, off of there that would have normally been over there. This, what I'm going to do now, and I'm just, again, I've said it, again, another thing I've said before is I'm just eyeballing everything. I'm just sort of saying, oh, that seems like it might work. So I just looked at it, I went, yeah, about there. I cut it. I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole in it so that that'll slide off. So I can slide this on there, and then I'll weld it. After, well, I'm going to try to see if there's any way to figure out if it'll actually work. Because, well, I think what I'll end up doing, I'll slide it on there. I'll probably tack it into place, because I still have to make some kind of a linkage, which I was going to possibly try to make this tie rod off that go-kart work. But this is aluminum. These are drilled to about here. So there's really no way I can lengthen that, or shorten that, because I don't have anything to weld aluminum. Other option was to just lengthen the original rod. But I also, what I want to do is try to make these work. I have a couple of these laying around, so this would be absolutely perfect if I could just come up with something to weld, you know, something to go in between them. But, so I'm going to go ahead and drill that and then see where we end up. Okay, folks, I have a good eye, because I set that there and I eyeballed it, and then I just measured it on 3 1/4 exactly to here on both sides. So that is beautiful. So I'm just going to go ahead, hopefully that stays exactly where it is, and then I'll measure it before I drill, but I'm just going to go ahead and clamp it to the frame and drill right into the frame, right on through. And now that this frame is actually a square, that's better for going through with a bolt. Also, as far as it collapsing, and it's not going to be that much stress on it, so I'm not worried about that. Plus, I'm going through right here where it's actually overlapped. The old frame is overlapping this new frame, so there's even more strength there actually. So it'll be good, I think. And again, it's only got to sit there and hold that pivot. There's really not much stress on that. So let's see if we can get this thing clampaged in a way that does not move. I thought I had that set properly, but I didn't. Okay, there's that one. I don't think it moved at all, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit it with the clamp on this side. Still looks straight to me, so try it out. And then we'll measure it just to be sure. Okay. Now, most people call that a measuring tape. I never have. I just call it a ruler. I don't care if a ruler is a straight, hard thing, but this is a ruler in my book. Right to the edge there, we got 3 1/4. Looks beautiful. That looks like it is. Oh man, that looks like it's off by like a freaking millimeter, but I'll fix that. That might have been too much. Okay, no, I think that's perfect. That's 3 1/4 right to here. 3 1/4. We'll just check the other side one more time. I know I told you before I don't measure, I just eyeball, but I just eyeball things, and I did. I eyeballed it, and it just happened to be perfect. But I also, in this case, I just wanted to measure it because it's kind of an obvious area where if you looked at it and it was way off because of this line, it would just look horrible. So I wanted it to be perfect. So there we go. I'm kind of annoyed. I drilled this hole too big. Doesn't matter because it's going to get welded to that. Went and I drilled the hole and I couldn't get it over this. I didn't realize all it was is there's a little lip right there. I could have just like kind of grinded it down. But I'm going to keep these splines. These splines I'm glad I have because I'm going to take the go-kart steering hub and actually weld it to the shifter so that the shifter will be fully adjustable in its position. Will this actually work? I don't know yet. I'm just going to go as far as I can until I can't make it. It's going to work. I'm making it work. It's going to be made to work. Let's try it out. Fun fact, I think this is the first time a power tool is ever making an appearance on my channel. Got the top of the line DeWalt brushless drill and the best of the cheap Harbor Freight drill bits, and I actually will recommend if they have these still. I bought them a while back, but these are actually really good. This literally only cost, I think it was 20 bucks. They have a $10 set too, but I thought this one was looking better. Hell, $20 can't beat it. There's always shit driving by. I love it. Obviously a Harley or something. It's like every video I'm making, every time I'm making a video, something loud's driving by. It's great. Right on cue. John Q. Wonderful. Alright, let's see. That looks like possibly a 3/8. No, just under. 5/16. Or it's somewhere in between, but no, it's a 5/16, I think. Oh yeah, it's 5/16 hardware. That'll work. Want to watch out I don't mess up the hole though, because that's only aluminum right there. Aluminium. Otherwise, I would just weld that to the frame, I think. Well, maybe not, because then it would be permanently installed. I mean, I guess there's no reason to weld it if it's got holes in it. Yeah, let's do it. Alright, let's try to get this straight. Actually, you know what? I might even just get it started and then pull that off. Yeah, that's mostly corrosion coming out of there, not actually aluminum. This one's, for some reason, this one's tighter. I think it's got a bunch of corrosion in it. Yeah, there's metal shavings. Alright, let's get that out of the way. And then drill it. Beautiful. Excellent. Alright. Go on down through. Shouldn't be too hard, this stuff's not too thick. There she is. Beautiful. Love it when a plan comes together, even though this plan's only about, I don't know how far down it is, but I don't have it actually working yet. So. This guy's probably running out of gas. Yeah, maybe it's having trouble. No, you know what? Actually, I think he was trying to do a wheelie or a burnout because he was literally like, I think he just was failing at doing it. Dude, people go up and down this road. There's some like biker, like younger dudes that ride Harleys mostly, and they'll literally go all the way up, like from the, like I'm telling you, they literally ride for miles doing burnouts. There's burnout marks all up this road. And I love it. I'm all for it. I literally have always said, you could ride by my house at 3 a.m. as loud as you want. You literally go by here and open headers, muscle car, drag race. Line up a drag race in front of my house with open headers, top fuel, like, doesn't matter. I love it. I love it. I don't care if I have to get up early and it's late. I want you to do it. because I despise anyone who doesn't like it. Anyone who, especially people who are into that kind of thing, but then claim that late at night they don't want to hear it go by their house. Bullshit. You like it, you either like it or you don't. I love it. People be like, oh, how about if somebody went by your house at midnight doing that? Oh, bring it on, sign me up. If nobody knows where I live, tell them, let's get them over here. Okie dokie. Let's go ahead and see. I got hardware in the shed somewhere that'll bolt that on there. So. Uh-oh. No. Oh, I'm an idiot. That's obviously adjustable. How is that not lining up anymore? Oh. Maybe it's time to pause the video. Alrighty, my friends. So here we go. I got that baby bolted on there. Got this is the original steering hub for that steering shaft. Did not weld that bit on yet. But I have this, the original shifter. I just have to grind that to weld that, and that is going to go right there, and it is going to be perfect. And then with that in the middle, as long as that travel and everything with the linkage works, which I really hope it does, because this is kind of based on this whole thing here, we're going to have a reverse pattern. Again, like I said, the shifter on these lawn tractor transaxles always goes forward to gain gears. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's now going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's going to pull back. It's 6-speed, but I don't need to count to 6. What's the point? Doesn't really matter. I want it clocked correctly, but it doesn't matter that much because this has got a zillion splines on it. So the whole idea of this is that I'll be able to adjust that shifter wherever I want it on here and get it dialed in just right. I do want this to be a certain position. I basically want this upright, so I want to get it so that this is vertical right there, and then that's correct. So actually, you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to clamp that on there with the vice grips. I think that's perfect. Maybe lock the seat into position again. Still got to make the front mounts. I still got to do a little bit more on these back mounts because I just threw them on there. They weren't even like there was no fitment whatsoever taken into consideration. I was just like, is this gonna work? And I just welded them just to see, and I was like, well, yeah, it's gonna work. It's gonna feel good. So I just went ahead and just started welding the crap out of them. And now I need to make it a little bit nicer, but well, I'm happy because I got the seat pretty much where I want it. It's just that the seat is so warped out of shape that it's kind of hard to, oh man, that's going to make getting on and off of it very difficult. But that's a race machine for you. Oi! Oh. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, you frick. Forgot the ground wire. Beautiful. Freaking beautiful. Alright folks, this is going on long enough. I did not complete the job. Still have to weld that bit on there and come up with a linkage, but the shifter is in position and it is absolutely beautiful. That is also, like I said, splined. That's splined there, so that can be adjusted wherever you want it. If it needs to be more forward or more back, that also, I don't think it's actually going to go that far, but it perfectly clears that. And I didn't bend that. That's just the original shifter. But yeah, editing the video, and I actually didn't even realize I had enough footage to make a video. Kind of sucks that I didn't actually get that done, but if I'm going to have a video, I'm going to have a video. If I'm going to get that done, well, there's not going to be a video yet. So there you go. Wait till the next one. I mean, come on, this thing's got to be almost done, right? Like, I don't know. I was just trying to put wheels on it. That's all I was doing, was doing the trailer wheels, which turned into extending the frame, which turned into lowering the seat, and that meant doing the steering, and yeah, you know, always turns into, because, you know, once you cut the frame, like I said, then the shifter mounts were gone. So you always think about the picture, the big picture. Like, I could draw the picture and be like, yeah, that would be amazing, but you don't take into account all the little things. And even just as simple, I mean, every little thing takes its little bit of time. You know, fitting a belt, getting the shifter mechanism working again, getting a different seat on there, the steering, like, every little thing takes a little bit more time than you expect. We shall get her done. Thanks for watching. See you next time.